The sun of Valthara burned red over the massive arena, its light glinting off the silver towers that surrounded it. Thousands of alien voices filled the air, their chants echoing like thunder. It was the Day of Honor, the most sacred event in the Empire. Warriors from every corner of the galaxy had gathered to prove their strength. It was a celebration of battle, of pride, and of power. The royal family sat high above, watching from their crystal balcony. Among them was Princess Irina of Valthara, daughter of the Iron Queen, known for her cold heart and flawless rule. But on this day, Irina's attention was not on the usual champions. Her eyes were drawn to a figure unlike any other, small, fragile, and strangely calm. A human. He stood at the edge of the arena floor, surrounded by giants and monsters. His name, whispered by the announcer, was Marcus Kane of Earth. He had no armor, no blade, no plasma weapon. His clothes were torn from travel, his boots coated with dust. His face was calm, his eyes steady, watching everything yet fearing nothing. The aliens around him were armed with swords of fire and spears of energy, their roars shaking the stands. But Marcus only adjusted his torn sleeve and took a slow breath. "Pathetic creature," one of the alien warriors hissed beside him. "You will die quickly, little human." Marcus didn't answer. He only said quietly, "We'll see." When the horn sounded, the arena came alive. Beams of energy shot through the air, claws tore into metal, shields cracked under brute force. The crowd screamed in excitement. But while others rushed forward, Marcus stayed still for a moment. His eyes moved carefully, reading every motion, every angle. Then when the first attacker came, Marcus moved. Fast and precise. He didn't punch or kick with power. He let the alien's own momentum carry him forward, sidestepping at the last second. The attacker stumbled, crashed into another, and both fell. Another swung a blade of molten light, but Marcus ducked low and rolled aside, grabbing a handful of sand and throwing it into the alien's eyes. The crowd gasped as the creature howled in pain. Marcus didn't fight with strength. He fought with rhythm. He moved like water flowing between blows, never staying still for long. Every step, every turn had purpose. Where others used weapons, he used timing and instinct. He fought without striking first. He let the battle defeat itself. From the balcony, Princess Irina leaned forward, her silver eyes widening in fascination. "He has no armor," she whispered. "No weapon. And yet he lives." Her mother, the queen, scoffed. "It is only luck. He will fall soon." But Marcus didn't fall. One by one, his opponents dropped. Some knocked unconscious by their own force, others too exhausted to continue. Within minutes, the roaring chaos turned into stunned silence. Marcus stood alone in the dust, his chest rising and falling with slow breaths. Around him lay broken weapons and groaning warriors, and none of them dead. The crowd was confused at first, unsure how to react. Then slowly applause began to spread. It started with a few voices, then grew into a wave of thunder. The human had won, and he hadn't even killed anyone. Marcus bowed slightly, not to the queen, not to the audience, but to the fallen fighters who had faced him. His gesture was quiet, respectful. Then he turned and walked to the center of the arena, waiting for the judgment. The announcer's voice trembled through the silence. "Victory goes to the human, Marcus Kane of Earth." Irina felt something strange inside her chest, a spark of admiration, of curiosity. She had seen many warriors, but none like him. He fought not for pride, not for blood, but for something else. There was a strength in him that had no armor, no blade, and yet it shone brighter than any weapon she had ever seen. As the cheers of the arena shook the skies, the princess whispered to herself. Almost without realizing it, "Who are you, human?" The celebration after the battle was loud, but the human stood in silence. While the crowd shouted his name, Marcus Kane remained still, his gaze fixed on the horizon. He didn't smile. He didn't raise his hand in victory. He simply stood among the dust and wreckage of the arena, calm and unreadable, as if the fight had been nothing more than another day in his life. From the royal balcony, Princess Irina couldn't take her eyes off him. The cheers, the lights, the noise, all of it faded around her. She only saw the human who fought without cruelty, who defeated monsters and champions without spilling blood. It was something she had never witnessed before. In her world, victory always came with death. But this man had shown that true strength could exist without destruction. Later that evening, Marcus was taken to the palace. The queen wanted to see him. The guards escorted him through long silver corridors where every wall shimmered like liquid glass. He didn't resist, didn't speak. He only observed everything with quiet curiosity. To the aliens around him, he seemed out of place, a fragile, simple creature from a small, forgotten world. But there was something about his eyes that made them uneasy. When Marcus was brought before the throne, the Iron Queen looked down at him with disdain. Her voice was sharp and cold. "You are the human who humiliated my champions," she said. "I fought only because I was challenged," Marcus replied quietly. "And you chose to fight without a weapon. Why?" He looked up, meeting her gaze without fear. "Because I don't kill for applause." The guards tensed. No one ever spoke to the queen like that. But the queen only smirked. Strange words from such a weak being. Marcus's lips curved faintly. "Maybe. But weakness can teach you what strength never will." The queen waved her hand. "Take him away. Lock him in the guest chamber until I decide what to do with him." As the guards led him out, a soft voice interrupted. "Wait." It was Princess Irina. Everyone turned as she stepped down from the balcony. Her long silver gown flowed like water, her expression calm but curious. She stopped in front of Marcus and looked into his eyes. "You fought differently," she said. "You didn't fight to win, you fought to protect." "Why?" Marcus tilted his head slightly. "Because someone once told me that the only fight worth winning is the one that saves life, not ends it." Irina blinked, her heart catching on those simple words. No warrior of her people had ever spoken like that. Her mother frowned. "Irina, enough. Do not waste your time with this creature." But Irina ignored her. "Tell me, human," she asked softly, "where did you learn to fight that way?" "On Earth," he said. "A place where we've seen too much war to ever love it again." The queen's patience snapped. "Guards," she barked. "Remove him." Marcus bowed politely to the princess before the guards dragged him away. "Thank you, princess," he said. "For asking, not judging." That night, Irina couldn't sleep. She sat by her window, the stars of Valthara glowing above. Her mind kept returning to that human's calm eyes and the way he moved. Gentle, graceful, yet unbreakable. He had faced death without hatred, without fear. It was something her kind couldn't understand. In another part of the palace, Marcus sat in his small chamber. He wasn't chained, but he knew he wasn't free. He gazed out at the alien sky and whispered to himself. Different stars, same silence. He missed Earth, the smell of rain, the wind over green hills. But he didn't regret being here. Maybe this world needed to see that humanity wasn't just about weapons and wars. Maybe they needed to see what real courage looked like. And somewhere in the grand palace, a princess lay awake, wondering about a strange man from a distant world, a man who fought without a weapon, and won without hate. The palace of Valthara was a fortress of light and glass, but for Marcus it felt like a cage. Every morning the guards brought him food and water, then left him alone in silence. He had a small window that opened toward the city below, a sea of glowing towers and floating ships. It was beautiful, but it wasn't home. He missed the blue sky of Earth, the sound of wind, the laughter of people who weren't trying to prove they were stronger than someone else. He spent his days doing small things to stay sane. He stretched, meditated, and sometimes drew shapes on the floor with bits of dust, remembering old training patterns from his soldier days. His body healed from bruises, but inside, there was still a quiet sadness. The loneliness of being the only human on an alien world that didn't understand him. One evening, when the moons hung low and silver in the sky, his door opened softly. Marcus looked up, expecting guards, but it wasn't them. It was Princess Irina. She wore a simple robe instead of her royal gown, her long white hair tied back. Her bright eyes looked nervous but curious. "You're awake," she whispered. Marcus stood slowly. "Your Highness," he said quietly, bowing slightly. "Should you be here?" She smiled faintly. "No, but I wanted to see the human who made my mother speechless." Marcus chuckled softly. "That might be my greatest victory." Irina stepped closer, her hands behind her back. "Why did you really come to our world? We have heard so little of your kind." "I didn't come by choice," Marcus replied. "My ship was caught in a gravitational pull near your system. I crashed. I just wanted to survive." "And yet you stood in the arena and fought like you were born for it," she said, tilting her head. "You could have died." "I've faced death before," Marcus said, his voice calm. "But fear doesn't help you fight. It just blinds you." Irina's gaze softened. "Your people. They sound strange. You value mercy even in battle," he nodded. "Mercy keeps us human. Without it, we're just another kind of monster." There was silence between them for a moment. The princess looked at the scars on his arms, faint and old like stories written into his skin. "You've fought many wars, haven't you?" "Yes," Marcus said. "Too many. I promised myself I'd never start another." Something in his tone made her heart ache. He wasn't a warrior who sought glory. He was a man who carried pain and peace in equal measure. From that night on, Irina began visiting him secretly. Sometimes she brought him books written in her language and he tried to read them. Other times, she asked questions about Earth, its oceans, its trees, its music. Marcus would describe the rain, the way it smelled after a storm, how people would stand in it just to feel alive. Irina would close her eyes and imagine it. "Rain sounds peaceful," she said once. "It is," Marcus answered. "It's the sound of the world forgiving itself." The more they talked, the more their words softened. Irina found herself laughing, something she hadn't done freely in years. She forgot he was a prisoner. He forgot he was alone. Their meetings became a quiet world of their own, but not everyone was blind to it. The palace guards began whispering. The queen noticed her daughter's sudden absences. Rumors spread of the princess spending time with the human warrior who refused to kill. One night when Irina came again, she seemed worried. "They're talking about you," she said. "My mother doesn't trust you." Marcus gave a sad smile. "Can't say I blame her. I wouldn't trust a stranger who beat all my soldiers either." "I don't see you as a stranger," Irina said softly. "You've shown me more humanity than anyone here." He looked at her then. Really looked. Her eyes shining with truth, her voice trembling with care. For the first time since he came to this world, Marcus felt something warm inside him. Hope. Outside the window, the twin moons glowed softly, painting their faces in silver light. The silence between them said what words could not. And in that moment, the alien princess realized she was no longer just curious about the human. She was beginning to care for him, deeply. Days passed quietly in the palace, but the peace didn't last long. The story of the human warrior spread through the empire like fire. Every soldier, every noble, every house spoke about him. The fragile creature who fought without a weapon and won. Some called it bravery, others called it luck. But to many it was an insult. A human had defeated Valthara's finest warriors, and that wounded their pride more deeply than any blade. Among those who took it as a challenge was warlord Kairith, a towering alien known for his brutal victories. He had never lost in the arena. His armor was forged from the bones of fallen kings, his weapon, a plasma axe that could cut through steel. When he heard of the human, his laughter shook the halls. "A human," he mocked in front of the council. "A soft-skinned creature that hides behind words. Let me fight him, and I will show the court what true strength is." The queen smiled coldly. "Very well, Kairith. The people want a show, and if the human refuses, he will be punished for defying the royal decree." When Marcus was told about the challenge, he only sighed. "Another fight," he said softly. "I didn't come here to be part of their games." Princess Irina stood before him, her eyes full of worry. You can't accept Marcus. Kareth kills for pleasure. He won't stop until you're dead. Marcus gave a tired smile. I've faced worse. Please, she said, grabbing his arm, her voice shaking. You don't have to prove anything to them. You've already shown what true strength is. He looked at her, his gaze calm but sad. Irina, sometimes peace isn't enough. Sometimes you have to face the storm so others can see there's another way. Her eyes glistened. You'll die. Maybe, he said softly. But not for nothing. That night, Irina went to her mother and begged her to stop the fight. The queen's voice was hard and cruel. He humiliated our warriors. If he dies, so be it. His kind must learn their place. Irina's heart broke. You call yourself strong, mother, but you fear him because he showed mercy. You don't understand. He's not our enemy. The queen rose from her throne, her eyes blazing. Enough! You will not speak for that creature again. Irina ran from the hall in tears. She found Marcus in his chamber, sitting quietly near the window. The moons painted his face in silver light. They won't stop it, she said, her voice trembling. You have to fight tomorrow. Marcus turned his head slightly. I know. Then run away, she whispered. I can help you. I'll open the gates myself if I must. He smiled faintly, shaking his head. If I run, I prove them right, that humans are weak. That mercy is cowardice, her throat tightened. You're not weak. You're the bravest man I've ever met. He looked into her eyes, and for a long moment neither spoke. There was something between them. Something fragile, something real. I don't want to lose you, she whispered, her voice breaking. Marcus stood and reached for her hand gently. Then don't think of this as goodbye, he said softly. Think of it as a promise. Whatever happens tomorrow, remember what I tried to show you. That strength isn't about how hard you can strike, but how much you can protect. Irina felt tears fall down her cheeks. She wanted to speak, but her voice wouldn't come. Marcus brushed a tear away with his thumb. You've already given me something worth fighting for, he said quietly. As she left his room that night, Irina's heart felt heavy with fear. She stood by her window long after midnight, staring at the arena lights glowing in the distance. Tomorrow that same place would become a battlefield again. And she prayed, Karinari, for the first time in her life, that mercy would be stronger than violence, and that one fragile human could survive the wrath of a world that didn't understand his heart. The next morning, the arena of Valthara roared once more. The stands were filled with thousands of aliens, their eyes glowing with hunger for blood. The royal banners waved high, and the queen sat proudly on her golden throne. Beside her, Princess Irina sat in silence, her hands clenched tightly together, her heart pounding with fear. Down below, Marcus Kane walked onto the sand. The sun burned above him, and the dust stung his eyes. He wore no armor, no shield, and no blade. His only weapon was his calm mind and his unshakable will. Across the arena, Warlord Kareth entered, a mountain of muscle and metal. His armor shimmered with plasma veins, and in his hands he carried a massive axe that pulsed with red light. When Kareth roared, the ground seemed to tremble. Human, today I will crush your bones and show the court what true power is. Marcus stood still. His expression didn't change. He took a slow breath, closing his eyes for a second, as if centering his soul. When he opened them, there was no fear, only focus. The horn sounded and the battle began. Kareth charged like a thunderstorm. His first swing tore the air apart, the axe slamming into the sand where Marcus had stood a moment before. The shockwave sent dust flying, but Marcus was already moving. He ducked under the giant's arm and rolled aside, rising gracefully to his feet. The crowd gasped as he avoided another strike by inches. Irina gripped the railing. Her heart felt as if it would burst. Please, Marcus, move faster, she whispered under her breath. Kareth swung again, his fury growing. Every strike was meant to kill. But Marcus fought differently. He didn't block or counter. He read his opponent, watching every movement, every muscle twitch, every breath. He moved like a dancer, flowing around the blows, letting Kareth's rage burn itself out. You run like a coward, Kareth growled. Marcus's voice was calm. I fight to live, not to kill. Enraged, Kareth lifted his axe high and charged again. But Marcus had been waiting. He stepped to the side at the perfect moment, grabbed the warlord's arm and used the alien's own strength against him. With a swift motion, he flipped the massive warrior over his shoulder. The crowd screamed in disbelief as the armored giant hit the ground hard, his axe flying from his grasp. Kareth roared in humiliation and tried to rise, but Marcus stepped back and raised his hand. It's over, he said quietly. The warlord snarled and rushed again. Marcus sighed. You never learn. He sidestepped once more, caught Kareth's wrist and twisted, sending him crashing into the sand a second time. This time Kareth didn't move. His strength was gone, the arena fell silent. The crowd didn't know whether to cheer or stare. A human, small, unarmed, and calm, had defeated their mightiest warrior without drawing a single drop of blood. Irina rose to her feet, tears filling her eyes. Her heart swelled with pride and relief. He did it, she whispered. He really did it. Marcus stood over Kareth and then bowed his head in respect. You're strong, he said softly. But strength without control destroys itself. The queen sat frozen. Her face was unreadable, but her pride had been wounded deeper than ever before. The crowd slowly began to cheer, the sound growing louder, echoing through the arena like thunder. Marcus looked up toward the balcony. His eyes found Irina's. For a moment the world seemed to stop. They didn't need words. Their eyes spoke everything. Gratitude, relief, and something deeper neither could name. The announcer's voice trembled through the speakers. Victory. To Marcus, King of Earth! The cheers grew wild. Some shouted his name. Others bowed in silent respect. But Marcus didn't raise his arms or celebrate. He simply stood tall, breathing slow, his chest rising and falling under the golden light. Because for him it was never about glory. It was about showing them that real power came not from hate, but from the courage to stand alone, weaponless, and still refuse to give in. And as the sun sank behind the silver towers, Princess Irina realized that this human had not only changed the way her people saw strength, he had changed the way her heart understood love. The arena was still roaring with cheers when Marcus lowered his head, breathing softly. Around him, the dust of battle swirled in the sunlight like golden smoke. He had done the impossible again. The great warlord Kareth lay unconscious and the human stood untouched. The crowd, once doubtful, now looked at him with awe. They had come to see him die, but instead they had witnessed a living legend. From the royal balcony, Princess Irina could barely hold back her tears. Her heart raced as she watched the human who had fought not with rage but with grace. His every move had carried peace, not hatred. His strength wasn't in his body. It was in his soul. When Marcus bowed toward the queen, there was no pride in his gesture, only respect. Your Majesty, he said, his voice calm but firm, I came to your world by accident. I never wished to fight your people. But if my actions have shown you anything, let it be this. Power without mercy is only fear-wearing armor. The queen's eyes narrowed. The words stung her pride. She stood from her throne, her voice sharp as steel. You dare speak of mercy to me, human? You stand on Valtheran soil as a guest, and yet you humiliate our greatest champions. Marcus bowed again, silent, his calmness more powerful than any argument. But before the queen could continue, Irina rose suddenly from her seat. Mother, stop, she cried, her voice trembling yet strong enough to echo through the arena. The crowd went silent. All eyes turned to the young princess. The queen's face darkened. Irina, sit down. This is not your place, but Irina didn't move. Her silver gown shimmered in the sunlight as she stepped forward. Her eyes locked on Marcus standing below. He is not your enemy, she said. He has done what none of our warriors could. He fought with honor, and he spared every life in this arena. The queen clenched her fists. He shamed our people. No, Irina said, shaking her head. He reminded us what true strength means. Her voice broke with emotion. You call yourself strong, Mother. But strength is not killing those weaker than you. It's standing for what's right, even when the world stands against you. And this man has shown us that. The arena was silent. No one dared to breathe. Marcus looked up at her, his calm expression softening as he met her gaze. Irina took another step forward, her voice gentler now. He could have killed Kyreth. He could have killed them all. But he didn't, because mercy is not weakness, it's courage. Her words faltered, but she forced herself to continue. And I will not let you treat courage as a crime. The queen's voice trembled with anger. Irina, do you realize what you're saying? The princess turned toward her, tears shining in her eyes. Yes, I know exactly what I'm saying. She looked down at Marcus, her heart aching. He's my friend, my protector, and my heart. A shocked murmur ran through the crowd. The queen's face turned pale. Irina, she screamed, but the princess raised her chin proudly. He fought without a weapon, she said softly, but he changed the hearts of everyone who watched him. Even mine. Marcus stood frozen, his eyes wide with emotion. For a moment he forgot the crowd, the queen, the arena. There was only her. The princess who had seen beyond his skin, beyond his species, into the quiet soul of a man who had only ever wanted peace. The queen's voice shook with fury. Enough, guards, take him away! Send him from this world before he poisons my daughter's heart any further. The guards rushed forward, but Marcus didn't resist. He only turned once more to look at Irina. Their eyes met, full of unspoken words, fear, hope, and something deep that neither could hide anymore. As the guards led him away, Irina whispered, barely audible even to herself. You showed me what honor truly means, Marcus, and I will never forget you. Marcus gave a faint smile, his voice steady even as chains clicked around his wrists. And I'll never forget the princess who believed in mercy. That night, as the stars of Valthara glowed cold and distant, Irina stood on her balcony, tears rolling down her cheeks. Below, the ship that carried Marcus away burned bright against the horizon like a falling star. She reached out a trembling hand toward the sky and whispered, Come back to me, human. Please come back. And far above the planet, Marcus Kane looked down through the viewing window of his ship. His heart ached with the same silent prayer. The cell was cold, carved from dark crystal that shimmered faintly under the light of Valthara's twin suns. Marcus sat quietly on the hard floor, his hands chained before him, his mind lost in memories. He could still see Irina's face, the fear, the courage, the love hidden in her eyes when she defied her mother. He smiled faintly, though his heart ached. He hadn't come to this world to change it. He had only wanted peace after the long wars on Earth. Yet somehow, destiny had led him here, into an alien arena, into the heart of a princess who had seen him for what he truly was. The door hissed open, and soft footsteps echoed against the crystal floor. Marcus lifted his head and his heart stopped. Irina stood there, cloaked in deep blue, her hair falling like silver water over her shoulders. Her eyes glimmered with both joy and pain. Irina, he whispered. She hurried to him, her hands trembling as she touched his face. I had to see you, she said, her voice cracking. They're going to send you away at dawn. My mother believes you are a danger to our people. Marcus sighed. Maybe she's right. I don't belong here. Irina shook her head fiercely. No. You belong more than anyone I've ever met. You showed us what we've forgotten. You showed me. He looked into her eyes and saw the storm inside her, the battle between love and duty. You've got a brave heart, Irina, he said softly. Don't let them take that from you. Tears filled her eyes. I don't want you to go. You've changed me, Marcus. I can't just watch you vanish into the stars. He smiled gently, though pain burned inside him. If I stay, your mother will start a war. I can't let more people die because of me. Irina clenched her fists, her voice shaking. Then take me with you, Marcus froze. You can't be serious. I am, she whispered. I'd rather walk into the unknown with you than stay here and live in a golden cage. For a moment, neither spoke. Only the sound of the distant wind outside the palace walls filled the silence. Marcus reached out, taking her hand in his. "Irina, you have a kingdom to protect. A people who need you. I'm just a man, a human who stumbled into your world." She shook her head. "You're more than that. You're hope." His throat tightened. He wanted to tell her yes. He wanted to take her hand and run until the stars swallowed them both. But he couldn't. Not when her destiny was so much bigger than his. Instead, he lifted her hand to his lips and kissed it gently. "Then remember this, princess," he said softly. "Hope doesn't die when people are apart. It lives in the promise they carry." Irina broke down, falling into his arms. "Will I ever see you again?" Marcus closed his eyes, resting his forehead against hers. "I'll come back when your world is ready for peace," he said. "And when the stars above Valthara shine red and blue together, look up. That's when I'll return." The guards outside stirred, and Irina quickly wiped her tears. She stepped back, her heart breaking with every breath. "Then I'll wait," she whispered. "Even if it takes a lifetime." Marcus smiled, that calm human smile she would never forget. "Then I'll make it worth the wait." As dawn broke, the ship carrying Marcus Kane lifted from the palace courtyard, rising through the misty skies of Valthara. Irina stood on the highest balcony, her cloak billowing in the wind. She watched until the light of his ship faded into the stars. The queen came to stand behind her. "He is gone, Irina. Time will heal your foolish heart." But Irina only smiled sadly. "No, mother. Time will prove you wrong." Years would pass. The war would end. And one night, as the princess stood beneath the twin sun setting over her world, she saw it. Two colors blending in the sky, red and blue together, shining like a promise kept. Her heart leaped, tears filling her eyes. Somewhere among the stars, a human whispered, "I told you, princess. Hope never dies." And on that day, the legend of the human who fought without a weapon became more than a story. It became the heart of Valthara's new age of peace, born from courage, sealed by mercy, and remembered by love.